Hey, what's going on, guys? Justin with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at and installing the C&L CX2 Shock, available for your 2005 to 2014 Mustang at home. Now, you should be checking out this rear shock for your ride if you're looking for a super affordable, non-adjustable performance-based shock to replace some old or blown-out components on your stock S197. So I'll say the big feature here will be the fact that you're getting a slightly more performance-oriented stock replacement while keeping costs to an absolute minimum. Now, these are going to feature a twin-tube, non-adjustable design, again, to keep that cost down, but at the same time, still restore your ride quality, comfort, stability, and handling performance that you may have lost thanks to an old or blown-out stocker. Now, moving into construction, and again, you will find that twin tube design, which we just talked about, traditionally used on more budget-friendly applications, but you're still getting a slightly larger diameter piston compared to your factory dampers, and that will ultimately help provide you with better damping and rebound altogether. Now, the body itself is going to feature that durable steel build. As you can see, it is finished off in kind of a navy blue powder coat and then topped off with some fresh rubber bushings to complete the package. Don't forget, guys, this is very important. Check out the customer reviews on the C&L dampers here. A lot of positive 4- and 5-star reviews from S197 owners who have installed these things either by themselves or paired them up with some SR lowering springs and have some excellent results overall. So check those out. And again, check out some of the customer submitted images while you're there. Price point again, guys, big story here with the C&L rear shocks, as you are spending right around 80 bucks per shock. They are sold individually, so just keep that in mind. But even at that price point, it's gonna make them the most affordable currently on the site when we're talking about some sort of performance-oriented replacement that is not just some generic OE replacement part. Switching gears, let's get into the install. And the site's gonna call this one a very soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you no more than an hour to complete from start to finish. The rears on these cars, certainly a hell of a lot easier than the fronts. 2-bolt install that should take you really no time whatsoever, but leave yourself an hour just to get everything knocked out. Now, to give you a better idea of just how easy this job will be, what do you say we head out to the shop? Let's check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun or a 1/2-inch drive ratchet, a 15 and an 18 millimeter deep sockets, and possibly a 6 millimeter and an 18 millimeter wrench. Hi everyone, today we're installing a rear shock on our Mustang, so let's get started with the uninstall first. Now, once you've got your vehicle properly supported on a set of jack stands, or in our case, on a lift, next thing you're going to want to do is put a floor jack underneath the axle on the side that you're working on, so that you can release some of the tension off of the shock absorber so that we can take the nut off of the top. To do that, we're going to have to access it through the trunk itself. So let's take care of that. Now, we're replacing the shock on our driver's side. So what you're going to want to do is reach in here and just grab this trim that covers the fender well area, pull it back out of the way, and that will expose the nut at the top of the shock. Now we'll go ahead and take that off using our 15 millimeter socket. Now, with that removed, we can go ahead and get underneath the car and remove the lower shock mount. All right, if your car is a V6 model, you may not have this sway bar, and that sway bar is actually in the way of this lower shock mount bolt. So if you got a V8, what we're gonna have to do is remove this upper sway bar link bolt here on both sides of the vehicle. Once you've got those removed, then you can go ahead and swing the sway bar down out of the way to get access to the lower shock mount bolt. Now, if you're on the ground on a set of jack stands, you can use a floor jack, put it right underneath the middle of the axle just to support it when you release the sway bar links. We're using a pole jack because we're on a lift, and it gives you better access to what we're doing. So let's go ahead and remove these upper sway bar links and get those out of the way. So we're going to use our 15 millimeter socket to remove this upper bolt here on the sway bar link. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, once you've got both bolts removed, we can go ahead and swing our sway bar out of the way, and that'll give us access to the lower shock mount bolt. Now we'll use our 15mm socket to remove this bottom bolt here. Now you can go ahead and pull that bolt all the way out, swing out the shock, and now it's out of the way. All right, now just like on the original shock that we took out, you'll notice that we've got two different style of washers and bushings. The one that goes on the bottom at the top of the shock, you'll notice that it has a cone shape to it. So that's gonna go on the top of the shock and up into the fender well. The other half of that is just like a dish. So this is gonna go on the top of this once we get it into the car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and install this. We're gonna hook up the bottom of the shock first, reconnect our sway bars, and then we'll tighten the nut at the top of the shock once we lower the vehicle down. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and insert the top of our shock up into the hole in the fender well. And now we'll insert the lower bolt through the bottom of the shock. And you may have to compress it a little bit to make sure that the bolt goes all the way through. Reattach our lock nut. And now we'll tighten that down with our 15mm socket. All right, now we'll go ahead and reattach our sway bar links. And we'll tighten those down with our 15mm socket as well. And we'll repeat that on the other side. Now we can go ahead and lower the vehicle down so that we can access the top of the shock inside the trunk. Now you're probably going to need to use your floor jack again just to raise the shock up enough so that the bushing comes through the fender well here, and then you have room to put your other washer and bushing on top of that. Once you do that, install the supplied nut. Now if you've got an impact gun, you can try and tighten it down with just using an 18mm socket. And that should be fine. If you do have any issues, you'll need to use an 18mm wrench and a 6mm wrench to put it on the 18 there and the 6mm on the top stud and work it down that way. Now you can go ahead and replace your carpet. And if you are replacing both shocks at the same time, which I do highly recommend, now you can go ahead and repeat that whole process for the other side. And that wraps up our review and install of the C&L CX2 Rear Shock for the 05 to 14 Mustang. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.